Hi, everybody, and welcome to Build. I'm your host, Cole Delbick, and today we're joined by Josh Segarra. You probably know him from his roles on Arrow, The Other Two, and Orange is the New Black, or from Broadway if you were lucky enough to catch a performance of the Gloria Estefan musical On Your Feet. Now he's romancing and scamming RuPaul on AJ and the Queen, which arrives this week on Netflix. From the mind of Sex and the City creator Michael Patrick King, the series stars the Emmy-winning host as a down-on-her-luck drag performer who travels around the country with an 11-year-old stowaway. It's absolutely delightful and bingeable and features plenty of Drag Race cameos. So before we bring Josh out, let's take a look at the trailer. Let's give it up for Josh, everybody. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Cole.
That's such a sweet scene between you and RuPaul, but then it all sort of goes south very quickly. You're not being super honest there.
It's going to be fun, I think, to see how that relationship evolves.
You know, I was thinking last time I saw you was on the Broadway stage. You were so incredible and On Your Feet. Remember those very tiny shorts? But it feels like you're all over our TV screens now. These past couple years seems like they've been pretty transformative, professionally, personally. What has it been like?
It's been really fun, pal. I've got a little guy at home, my little guy Gus, he's 3. So that's been the most transformative, I believe, for me and my wife, Brace. But yeah, these past few years have been really fun. I think something that was frustrating me at the beginning of my career has now become a really big blessing. I've now gotten to play all these different little characters and pop in on other people's really well-made cakes. I get to come in and sprinkle some of my own thing in there that they allow me to come play with, and I've been really blessed in that regard, man. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, you've landed on something so special with AJ and the Queen. It's such like a heartwarming, emotional story, and of course, anyone who loves RuPaul will love this too. So from the creator of Sex and the City, The Comeback, which is one of my personal favorite shows, and also RuPaul as well. How did this project find you?
I was wrapping up, I think, Orange at the time. We were we were about to start the 7th season, and just got the script, got an audition. It was through Telsey here, and went in, and I got the script, and that opening scene that when people see it, it's in the back of a club with all the guest stars that we get to come have from Drag Race, and it was just them all reading each other, sending those clips along. And man, I was laughing so hard. And after that opening scene, I called my manager and I was like, I want this job. Because we were at a place, like you kindly said earlier, we were at a place where I had come off Arrow and I'd gotten to create this guy, Adrian Chase Prometheus. And I was over there playing with the Orange cast, and I was playing Stefanovic, this nutty, obsessed with popcorn and his carbo loading, and made good friends over there. And we were looking for whatever that next thing was going to be that I could really sink my teeth into. And this came along, and when I just knew it was mine, man. Went in, read with an associate the first time. It was just me and them in the room. And like every audition, you leave and you assume you're not going to get it. You can't put your parents through that roller coaster every time. You just assume, it's not mine. But that audition, man, I really, really wanted it. Got the call back, and the call back was with Michael Patrick King, MPK, my guy. And man, I feel like he hates me when I say this, but I remember walking in that room, and he was like shimmering, bro. He was like shiny. He was just like so electric, and we did these scenes. And I remember the scenes, I can't remember them now. There was one in the car where I'm going insane, and there was another one that was supposed to be real sweet, And we did the sweet one, and he was like, yeah. Let's do that other scene. Let's see how far we can take this guy. Yeah, let's see who this guy is, Let's flesh him out. And we played in that room for probably 30, 35, 40 minutes. And I walked out of there. I was like, that one's got to be mine, man. I got to get that part. And thank goodness I did that night. They called, or the next day, I can't remember, and I was up for something else. I was going to go test for another project, and that was really nice because that put the pressure on him, I think. But nah, man, Michael has been an incredible showrunner to work with. He just knows so much, man. He just has so much in that brain of his through experience, but also he's such a giving director, and And man, our communication was superb. Everything he said to me, every note he gave me, I was just like, yeah, that's a great idea. And then there are some times where he wouldn't even talk to me for a long time. Just let me go play. And he said one time, I was like, that was terrible. And he's like, Josh, there are no bad actors. There are just bad takes. And I was like, wow, bro. And like, it just freed me that day. And he knew that I needed that. He knew that I needed to just flesh this guy out. And it's been a really fun ride.
You were saying you were allowed to play a bit. Did you get some input in shaping the character? Did you get to improv any scenes?
Absolutely. I love improv. And sometimes I don't ever lead with improv because they're smarter than I am. Every writer I've worked with is much smarter than I am. It's the truth. Chris Kelly, Sarah Schneider on the other two. Michael Patrick King, come on. Michael Patrick King. You know, Bob Fisher and Rob Greenberg and Tad Quill on the Moody's. Genji over at Orange. Like, these are just writers that I've been really blessed to work with. But once you get into those takes, you know, and there's some fun scenes along the way that people are going to watch in AJ and the Queen, where Michael would come up and he'd give me a different line, and we'd shape the line a little differently. And, you know, I would never improv a whole scene. I don't like doing that to the directors, but I definitely like to take it and put it in my own mouth. You know, you kind of have to shape it in your own way. You have to figure out how to deliver it your way. And Michael always let me try. He always let me play. And if anything, always encouraged me to play. And that's the best work you could do, you know, when you feel like you could jump off a cliff and your director and your writer is just going to be like, yeah, let's try that again. Let's see what that felt like. That's the best.
Were you sort of aware of the Drag Race universe before that? Were you a fan of the show?
Yeah, absolutely. The first time I watched Drag Race was with my roommate Jermaine Miles. I was living with him on 51st and 10th in Hell's Kitchen over here. I came home, and he had Drag Race on. I can't remember what season it was, but it was during the library scene. Because I was like, what is this show? We're all just making fun of each other to see who could do it to the best of their abilities. And at the end of the episode, we all sat down. It was me, him, and I can't remember. There were a couple other people there because they were watching it together, as we do now. You know, it's the only way to watch Drag Races with your friends. And I remember at the end asking him, like, Mano, like, what is the show? Like, how do you win the show? American Idol, you win if you're sing the best, right? Or how do these guys win? He's like, what you mean? Just the best. I was like, but the best at sewing? He's like, everything, Josh. They got to be amazing at everything. And now it's it's funny to me. It's not lost on me that I got to work with Mama Ru, the queen.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, she's such a sort of a towering figure, like a pop culture icon. Did you have any sort of nerves going into your first interaction?
Yeah. Man, I was nervous as hell. The first day we did a photo shoot to do a promo shoot. Okay, let me go back. With every job I have the blessing of getting to partake in, the goal is simple, right? Even Tom Hanks said this last night at the Golden Globes. The goal is simple. Show up on time, know your text, and show up with a head full of ideas, right? That's been my only goal from the beginning of my career, is I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. And every time I show up, I want whoever those that are employing me to know that if you give me the ball, I will run really, really hard, I will run really, really fast, and I will run through any wall you ask me. I'll do it. I'll jump off any cliff. The scariest cliff was this one, because I just wanted to do well for Ru. I knew how much Ru had riding on this. Look at him. He's everywhere right now. This little girl right here, Izzy G, she's the best, man. Her parents are incredible. They're working actors, man. Working directors, working producers. We're all grinding out here. Ru wakes up every day at 4 a.m, grinding, just to make sure that he shows up on time, knows his text, and shows up with a head full of ideas. So, man, the nerves were kicking on this one because I just wanted to do a good job for Michael, for Ru, for my team. The first day we had that photo shoot, I'm standing next to Ru. Okay, RuPaul, all right? I'm standing next to him, and the shoot is supposed to be us as a couple. Right. So I'm standing next to him, probably just probably polite, you know? And Michael's like, Josh, grab him. Okay. Put my hand around his waist. He's like, no, you own him. Grab him. I'm like, oh, all right. So I put my waist around him. I'm looking up at the man. I'm over there, and he's smiling down at me, and we both kind of had our first date nerves going on. And I was expecting him to be cool and collected. I look over at him. He's kind of nervous, too. So we had a good day kind of working out those nerves. Next day, we have our first rehearsal, and we're doing that scene that you see, that we watched earlier. And at the end of that scene, I'm leaving, and the line is, I go to kiss him, and he says, here in front of the hongs, you know? And I'm like, yeah, who cares? Let him watch. And I give him a kiss. So our first rehearsal is just me, him, and Michael. And I knew, I was like, I ain't acting scared in this rehearsal. You know, I'm grabbing my mans on this rehearsal. And the end of the rehearsal came around, and that line comes up, and laid a big wet one on him. And he looked at me, and I looked at him. I was like, what's up, baby? You know, and he laughed, and I laughed. And the rest was history, man. You know, the nerves were always funny and permeating because those were our scenes together. You know, we have these scenes where you see our relationship when it's good, and you see our relationship when it's on the rocks. And those good scenes, there's always nerves kicking when you get to, you know, develop a new relationship with a partner on screen or on stage, and you get to just jump off this cliff together. You want to protect each other. You want to tell each other, whatever you got, bounce it off me, and whatever I got, I'm going to bounce off you, and we're going to tackle this thing together. So those nerves were always persistent. Those butterflies were always there. But I think that's what made this one really, really fun.
I mean, if nothing else, how flattering to be cast as RuPaul's boyfriend, right?
That's what I'm saying, you know? I just want to represent for the men. I don't want people to tune into the show and then be like, that's the cat that they got. That's the man that
I don't think anyone's going to be saying that.
Thank you, Cole. If they do say that, I'm telling them to call you.
On Twitter. I'll be
yeah, exactly.
You know, I was reading an interview with Ru, and he was talking about how this show was such a challenge, sort of the biggest challenge of his career, because you know, he's so used to playing himself or a heightened version of himself, or sort of bit side characters, and this is a role that is a complex one and really allows him to sort of flex his more emotional muscles, acting muscles. Did you sense a bit of that on set with him, that this was sort of a new ground for him?
I feel like it was one of those things where it was such a cool experience to be able to get him in this regard, where he wanted to do well too, right? Yeah. You know, I wasn't walking into his world, and he wasn't walking into my world. We were walking into MPK's world together, you know, because he had to take off his producer hat and his writer hat when he was acting with me. So we got to just kind of be in this lake together, you know, and develop like those feelings of love and betrayal. We all know them, right? You know, so it's how do we flesh them out on screen together? And I loved watching him ask questions, you know. I loved watching him get a little nervous, you know, or feel bad that he messed up. And in my head, I'm like, what you feel bad about, bro? You're killing it, you know?
Because we're so used to seeing him as so poised and put together. It's such a special way, I imagine, to get to know him as a performer.
It was incredible. Truly, it was incredible, you know? And I'll be honest, too, you know, like, with every job, too, you wanna find that fine line between friend and coworker, right? I didn't want to bother this man. You know, he's got so many beautiful things going on. Like I said, I just wanted to do my job and do it well to make everything shine as best as his abilities. And when he made me feel like I was part of his family, it took even more pressure off. You know, when he would tell me, hey, you look sharp in that suit. You should wear more suits. I went home then. I was like, I might wear more suits, babe. You know?
Buy suits online.
Exactly. You know, it's just... He's just such a giving actor, giving human that it's incredible, man.
I mean, it did seem like a family affair because there's 22 Drag Race alums sprinkled throughout these 10 episodes. And, you know, everyone from Latrice Royale to Bianca Del Rio to Trinity, you know, it's really anyone you could think of. Did you pick up any tips along the way from all these incredible drag performers? Any reading tips? What did you take away from all of them?
You know, I'll tell you this. I can't wait to do drag. Like literally,
is that coming?
I hope so. I told FBK. I already have my. Maybe I'll do a little Gloria Estefan. You know, maybe I'll get to dun. But you know what I took from him? Just to be yourself. I know that sounds so simple, but like, man, everybody in this room, I feel like we love the arts because at one point we all felt like we were left out of something, right? That's what, I'm a drama kid at the end of the day, bro. Troop 2888 Thespian Festival from Orlando, Florida, okay? I was trying to get superiors, all right? So when you come to a show like this that's all about inclusion, and we're going to be breaking molds, and we're going to be allowing families to have conversations with their young ones. And I hope that there are some parents that watch our show and are looking at their little boy or little girl, and I hope that they learn from our show. And I hope that they do what my parents did for me, which is, Papa, don't you worry about none of that. We love you. You're the best. You're the best, Papa. You keep doing what you're doing. You know, don't you stress about none of that other stuff. And that's what our show is at the end of the day, is that, you know, look at this couple right here. We have a show with a black lead with ML, 2 black leads in drag, and that's how the show opens. That's awesome, man. We have a little girl who's the captain of our ship, and they become an odd couple. It's awesome, man. You know, and it's just going to be a really, really fun ride, I think, you know. I hope that everybody comes along with us on it.
You know, I'm so glad you mentioned that because I feel like shows like this really challenge the notion that drag culture or queer culture is not appropriate for children or not somehow accessible or welcoming, and that's so far from the truth. And a lot of sort of the queer things that we see maybe skew more towards adults or sort of the more mature side. But I think it's also so important to have shows, content, TV shows, you know, that appeal to also younger people out there and can sort of spark those conversations and dialogues and can be seen by a variety of ages. Even though there are some edgy, emotional parts to this show, it really is accessible in a way that I think we need. Was that sort of, yeah, like a something that drew you in?
That's it, you know, I'm so thankful and proud of the fact that I get to be part of something that I hadn't seen, you know? Like, I'm stoked to represent for our team. I'm stoked to be a part of that because our show's about inclusion. It's just showing that, like, doesn't matter what we are on the outside, we're all people. You know, we're all just people trying to fit in. You know, we're all just people trying to, you know, show love to each other. And, you know, the relationship between them, the relationship between Hector and Ruby, and, you know, the relationship between Hector and Lady Danger. There's a lot of really fun relationships. And I think we're taking the norms. I think we're just showing people that, nah, man, don't you worry about those norms. We got our own norms, you know? Like, look at what we're showing you. This is what the world looks like today. You know, there's room for everybody.
You know, I sort of was thinking about this show in the same sort of conversation with the other two, which is like perhaps my favorite show from last year, certainly the funniest one that I love so much, and also from like a queer creator, and also shining a light, I think, on that community in a different way than we don't normally see. And you, of course, play Lance in that show, the sort of like lovable doofus type of guy, tennis shoe entrepreneur, which I love. Any news about sort of the new season? I know it was picked up. I'm sort of waiting. I can't, you know, I need some more.
Yeah, we're waiting too. We're dying. I was texting with Helena the other day, and we're just really excited and geeking to get back and start playing soon. And we go into production for season 2 in a month or so. So I don't know when it's gonna air. I don't know none of that stuff, but we're itching. We're ready to go. I love Lance. I love Chris and Sarah, Helena and Drew and Case, Molly, Ken, the whole cat, man. We just had such a good time, and that was a dream job too, man. You know, I've had a lot of fun jobs.
Because I was reading that they sort of almost tailored the role a little bit to you. They allowed you to.
They did. Yeah, that audition process was really fun. I first character I read for, I think, was the flight attendant pilot that Beck Bennett ended up coming in, and it was just a one-off for that episode. And then I came in prepared for that, and then they said, actually, will you go out and will you read the sides for the roommate, for Drew's roommate? I said, sure. So I went, prepared them in the room and just walked back in and did those. And they said, okay. They said, will you, I can't remember how the order went, but then I think that I made a tape for Lance. But Lance originally worked at Medieval Times, and something else about him, whatever it was, I made a tape, and I had like this like collar that I put on and tried to make him whatever I thought he was. And then when they called me back into that room, and I did the Lance that we arrived on. And then when I read the script, they told me I got Lance, and I realized that now he works at the Foot Locker. He's from Brooklyn. I think they made him a little bit more mine. And they told me along the way they would take some of my things that I would say along the way, and they incorporate. One of them was Little Man. I refer to my son Gus as Little Man. That's my man's right there. That's the man. That's the little man right there. So then all of a sudden in the script, I pop in, and I open the bathroom door, and I'm like, oh, Little Man, and things like that, and it's really fun, man.
Any chance we'll see you sort of sing on that show? I've been like now unironically listening to Chase Dream songs. Like it's not even a joke anymore. I'm like, they're in my head.
They're the best. They're incredible. Truly incredible. I
want Lance to get on the track.
I was gonna say, I feel like there's maybe a little room where maybe I'll get a little feature. Lance will get that rap feature, or like in real life as Josh, I want to get like a rap cameo. Like I just want to be like when the camera pans
in the back.
In the background, I just want to be like that. So maybe I can do that for a Chase Dream video.
Yes, please. We need to make that happen. Okay, we actually are going to go to some questions. First, we have one from Twitter. Courtney Soliday wants to know, what is your go-to karaoke or lip-sync song?
I have two. One is Hero by Enrique Iglesias. I can be your hero, baby. And then the other one is a Shaggy, It Wasn't Me. So she got me on the counter. It wasn't me, and then go in there and break it down a little bit
It's
for me.
only. I love those two. And we have one question for you from the audience.
Hi, we have an online question from our site. So what was your first reaction when you found out that you got the role?
Then I got this role. Oh, man. It's always relief first. It's like, woo, okay, we got a job, and then it's excitement. And like I said, with this one, I don't know, man. The second I read this thing, I just felt it was going to be special. I feel like it's special. I'm so proud to be a part of it, to rep for him, for ML, for T, for her, for the crew. I'm just so excited that, I don't know, I think there was maybe the nerve started kicking into, but it's always, with this one, big deal. I'm really proud of this one.
Before we let you go, I just want to also mention it's been so fun to see you pop back up on Arrow this year. The Crisis of Infinite. I'm like, which Earth are we on? I can't even but that must have been fun to sort of come back to the team. Did you have to prepare to get? Because you got a big fight scene, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah, I had to prepare. Yeah, they told me I was gonna do the salmon ladder, so that freaked me out. Because my ego from the beginning was like, man, I could do that salmon ladder. And then I got on that for the first time. I was like, this is impossible. I truly
cannot imagine.
I truly could not. So when they told me that, I hit a couple parkour gyms. I was in Atlanta at the time. I have a movie coming out next year on Netflix with Dolly Parton. Oh, wow. Yeah, a musical.
Oh, can't wait.
A Christmas
Casual.
musical, casual. It's awesome. Christine Baranski, Treat Williams, Jennifer Lewis, Dolly Parton, Janine Mason, Mary Lane Haskell. It's an incredible group of people. I've had a really good time on that. So I was in Atlanta wearing, coats and scarves in the middle of 95-degree weather, shooting a Christmas movie, and they said, hey, you're going to come back and play on Arrow. 1, are you okay with being shirtless on the salmon ladder? 2, please say yes because we already wrote the script. I said, sure, and sure. Immediately called my wife, and I was like, oh, my God. I gotta do this thing, and went to a parkour gym down there and had this awesome kid watch me for like an hour struggle on this thing, and he finally walked over and he's like, I got you, bro. And he like helped me with the actual technique of the thing, and it was awesome, man. Same thing. When they told me that I was gonna do it, I wanted to do it. I was playing the Hood on Earth 2. I was playing the Green Arrow. I couldn't be a chump. I didn't want to show up and have to fake it. I didn't want to disappoint the fans. I didn't want them to say, like, that's who they had to play the Hood on Earth 2. No, I want people to make sense. And I wanted to rep for my guy, Steve Amell. I wanted to, he's worked his life to represent the Green Arrow and for Berlanti and all of them over there. And I just wanted to show up right, I want to show up hard, fast, run through that wall.
Well, as a fan, it was so exciting to have that final note on the character. We have to let you go, but everyone make sure to watch AJ and the Queen on Netflix January 10th. And let's give it up for Josh. Thank you so much.
Thank you.